One of the things I've seen people do when they find that their watercolors don't look right is to question their colors. So they'll buy more paints, try new palettes, look for the perfect greens, perfect blues, and they assume that once they have the right colors, everything will fall into place. But that's not the problem. I'm not saying supplies never matter. For example, for watercolor paper, I'm one of many artists vouching for 100% cotton cold press paper like this one here because they give the best results and a much better experience for most people. So if you can upgrade one thing, that would be it. But beyond that, it mostly comes down to preference. What makes a painting stand out isn't the colors, it's how everything relates, and I'll show you what I mean with this reference. I'm using just 3 colors, blue and yellow for most of it, plus a dark violet for shadows. Even though this reference has lots of greens, I won't try to match them all. That's a common mistake. Blue and yellow can give a wide range of greens, and that's more than enough. The third color is just there to push the shadows further. So right away, I'm not chasing the right colors. I'm just keeping things simple and focusing on how the parts work together so the painting looks right. I start by wetting the paper and laying in a very light mix of blue and yellow with lots of water to keep the background soft. And one of the first things I pay attention to is leaving some areas of the paper white. That's not random, that's actually one of the most important relationships in watercolor. The lightest areas are not painted, they're preserved, and everything else is going to be built around that gradually. So instead of thinking, what color is in this area, I'm thinking, how light or dark should this be compared to what's going to be next to it? And that's why you've probably heard before that starting light and preserving whites in watercolor is very important. At this stage, I focus on the main shapes, especially the rock. I'm not aiming for precision yet, just placing information, where the shapes are, where the light is, and where contrast will come from. That's why I keep the background very soft so it doesn't compete with the rock, and working on wet paper really helps with that. And as you can see, a few splatters add texture without complicating things. As I keep going, I slightly adjust my mixes, a bit more blue here, a bit more yellow there, and you can see how many greens I get with just those 2 colors. But the exact shade does not matter. What really matters is that everything feels connected because I'm reusing the same colors everywhere. In the water, the rock, the background, so the painting stays harmonious without overthinking color. I stay on wet paper for a while, but if that's difficult, just work in layers. Let the paper dry, re-wet it, and keep going. And watercolor paper like the one I'm using handles this very well. As I paint, I gradually add more pigment and less water, so the paint becomes creamier and creamier, and that's what helps me refine shapes like the rock. Notice that I don't work on one area at a time though. I still move around constantly. So everything develops together. That makes it much easier to judge what needs to be darker, lighter, or adjusted, and I really like to do it on wet paper because small mistakes are always easier to fix. At this stage, watercolor often looks messy and undefined, with soft colors that make it feel like nothing's happening. That's completely normal. It's even called the ugly stage. So if that ever leaves you feeling on the verge of giving up, just remember it's normal, don't worry, and keep going. The goal here isn't a finished result, but simply to build a solid base, a foundation. So I keep refining the rock with slightly thicker paints, still with only blue and yellow. And again, I'm not trying to match the exact colors from the reference. I really want to insist on that. I'm just thinking about contrast, where to keep things lighter, where to preserve the whites. That's what will make the painting work in the end. At some point, we'll need to push things further, so I add more pigment to strengthen certain areas and move the painting forward, but I'm careful not to cover everything. I want those first soft layers to stay visible, especially in the background and in parts of the rock that should remain light and a bit dreamy. If everything becomes equally strong, nothing's gonna stand out anymore. I also start using more blue to suggest some shadow areas. There's no strict rule here. I could have used a darker green as well. The goal is simply to identify where the darker areas are. It's not really about the specific color. Because once your lights and darks are clear, everything else becomes much easier. You just have to connect them. To finish this foundation, I used the lifting technique to bring back some light. And now we have a solid base to build on. So at this point, I dry everything and I switch to working on dry paper. Here I like to use 2 brushes, one to apply the paint and one clean and slightly damp brush to soften edges. That way I don't end up with sharp edges everywhere, since that can make a painting look very stiff. Now I focus on keeping things soft where they need to be soft and sharper where I want definition. And of course, I still have contrast between light and dark tones in mind. I continue using my 2 main colors, blue and yellow, and I adjust the ratios as I go without overthinking it. And still I'm not trying to recreate the reference exactly through a certain color. I'm simply taking cues from the reference, and then I look at where it's lighter, where it's darker, and I translate that into my painting. That's what makes it work. So for example, if I see an area is light, I make sure that there is something darker nearby to make it stand out and look lighter. And if an area is dark, I make sure to do the opposites and actually have some light next to it. That's the only logic I really follow. Another example is I start darkening the bottom part of the rock way more because that's an important part of the structure. I also work on the water so it matches the rock in terms of intensity, since they are both in the foreground. Then I dry everything again and I go even further with the shadows. This is where I use my dark violet color more. And you can see all of this really feels like a puzzle you're building little by little, because now I'm placing darker pieces of the puzzle where they need to go, but I'm careful not to cover everything. I want to keep the previous layers, the previous pieces, visible. And I also want those greens to stay vibrant. I also use my darker color to connect different areas of the painting. For example, where the rock meets the water, I add darker paint and I soften the outer edges so both areas, rock and water, feel linked to one another. This helps unify the painting and makes it feel more cohesive in the exact same way that these 2 main colors, yellow and blue, make it look naturally harmonious. After drying this again, I glaze a brighter green over parts of the rock with a mix where there's more yellow. This really helps bring the rock forward even more without losing the shadows underneath. And that's the power of transparency in watercolors. And with that, everything is even more connected, and as a bonus, my greens are looking even more vibrant. Then I lift color again in a few places to bring some light back and create softer transitions, because right now I do have a lot of shadows and lots of vibrant greens, but very few highlights for them to contrast with. This technique of lifting paint on dry paper also helps to map out the small streams of water coming down the rocks in a very subtle way. And in this specific painting, I'm going to use a bit of white gouache to reinforce some highlights in the waterfall. I tried to keep it minimal with the gouache so it doesn't look overdone, and then I add a few splatters where the water hits the surface just to bring a bit more life to that area. And now if you look at the painting, you'll notice something, that the colors are not perfect, and I didn't even try to match everything exactly. And yet, overall, it works. The rock stands out, the water feels alive, and the whole painting feels balanced. The only thing I think I could have done better was to keep the water lighter in the back, maybe. Just to say, watercolor painting is never about using specific colors or exact shades of a color. It's about the relationships, light against dark, soft against sharp. That's what makes a painting work, no matter the subject or the style, and that's what I teach in my watercolor courses, which I'll link in the description below if you'd like to check them out. If you enjoyed this, I would love to get your feedback in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.